Welcome to EHS Live on this brisk Tuesday night, where two electric teams in the way of the Episcopal Maroon and the Stone Ridge Gators face off in an intense conference matchup.
And they are the senior number 1, Allison Cobb. The head coach of the Gators is John Wilson. The newest player from Episcopal High School. And for the sophomore, number 21, Maddie Martinez. And for the junior, number 5, Misha Lombardo. And for the junior, number 12, co-captain Mrs. Vieira. And for the senior, number 3, co-captain Anna Everett. And for the senior, number 4, co-captain Cooper Dixon. The head coach of the Maroon is Katrina Reed.
Welcome back to Episcopal High School in the Humble Bowl.
Welcome back to Bryant Field.
Ainsley Court.
Live from Bocock Wrestling Gate.
I'm ready for this game. Oh,
Great
so
shot.
shot
Wow.
scores.
Here it goes up. Puts it down. He's going for the win. That kid is not getting up. Wow. Takes it almost 60 yards. Oh, man.
Wow.
From Ainsley Court, this is EHS Live, the Episcopal Girls Varsity Basketball Team taking on the Gators of Stone Ridge. First of 3 consecutive home games, Stone Ridge in the Navy, the Maroon in the White. We are underway with Episcopal controlling the opening tip. It is Covert Dixon who will start it off, senior co-captain, Maddie Martinez, Nisha Roy, excellent facilitator for the Maroon, Genesis Villegas. Stone Ridge with the zone, pass deflected. Martinez looking for an opening. Cut into the lane. Cross court. Everett goes up. Cannot convert. And Stone Ridge facing the vaunted full court press by the Maroon. Quick pass underneath. Nisha Roy, the floater, is string music. Early 2-0 lead.
Quick note, that's one of the things you're going to see a lot in this game. Episcopal trying to make a steal, trying to make something happen early, trying to provoke the team of Stone Ridge into chaos. Stone Ridge usually likes to set in a slow tempoed offense with a lot of set plays, while the Episcopal thrives on transition, offense and defense, and moving back and down the court, tiring out the other team.
As we see an and one from Josie Watts, knotting up the score already. Derek Spears, your play-by-play alongside Jay Sigler, analyst. Jay, you got a lot of good interviews leading up to this game. What did you learn about this Episcopal team?
Well, this Episcopal team was really trying to focus on zeroing in on their star player, the one that just took the free throw there, Watts. She, a lot of the players that I've mentioned earlier all run through her, and if they can lock her up, they're going to be able to stop this offense from scoring as many points as they usually do.
Zone look from Stone Ridge. Covert Dixon might have to work on facilitating today a little bit more than usual. Martinez, young player, excellent potential. Episcopal offense a little bit stagnant. Dixon hoists a 3. Off mark. And Stone Ridge rips down the rebound. It is Isabel Sade in transition. Watts, no look pass. And now a foul on the floor is called. It will stay on that end.
A lot of physical play from the Maroon today. That's something that Mr. Reed, the coach of this team, emphasized in practice yesterday. Getting physical with this team is a must.
You also see a frenetic pace early. Both teams like to press. It is Watts taking it all the way. Finger roll off the mark. Villegas. There's a baseball pass was deflected. And then Genesis with a takeaway. Episcopal looking to push. Good pass from Villegas. And the left hand. It is Maddie Martinez, the sophomore, who lays it in.
Miss Reed really described Genesis as a leader on this team. She's been able to keep them calm in tough situations, and that's really something that she likes to highlight in her gameplay as we see her drive down here on a fast break.
Hodo too aggressive. Villegas takes the contact and one. And Genesis will head to the line.
She's also called the floor general by her coaches. By the way, she directs traffic and helps her teammates out when they do run design plays. Kincaid checking in for Maddie Martinez.
Kincaid brings a little bit more height to the lineup. Stone Ridge does have the height advantage across multiple positions.
Slight confusion here from the refereeing squad. Always does a great job.
Checking the clock for a potential issue, I believe.
Other standout players on this Episcopal team include Nisha, described as the co-general. Really has a good connection with Genesis and helps protect the basketball and make smart decisions as well. And Cover Dixon, who is the leading scorer on this team and helps in the rebound department. Fierce player in the paint.
As we're still waiting here, Episcopal with a great opportunity. Checking into this game with a record of 4-5 against Stone Ridge in conference play. Just a note, there are no backcourt violations in ISL play as Villegas grabs the rebound and is deflected out of bounds.
Neither are there any 10-second violations for not getting across mid-court. So you can take as long as you want to get across. Genesis calling for the ball, driving in with a shot, and it goes. What a shot from Genesis.
Excellent take there by Villegas. Junior with superstar potential, and now a whipping pass. Cannot find it. Was Isabel Sade. And now Episcopal will control. Have to think the ball will be in Genesis Villegas, the junior from Costa Rica's hands a lot today. Gonna need an excellent game from her. Episcopal trying to attack the zone. Dixon in the middle. Push shot. Rolls in. And Episcopal opening up an early lead.
This Stone Ridge team is going to need to adapt to the fast pace of the Episcopal Maroon. They're trying to here in this fast break. Hopefully if they can do it.
Kick out. Watts, open look. Cashes it down. And a quick timeout from Stone Ridge. Trying to get organized defensively.
Something that they've really struggled in Stone Ridge is being able to keep their heads on straight whenever they get in these types of situations where it's a back and forth battle up and down the court where it's not really controlled. There's no really designed plays, and I think their coach has to be telling them something about, keep focused, try and focus on making your baskets and getting your rebounds, and really staying in touch of where the ball is on the court at all times. As we wrap up here, Coach Reed also probably has some wise words on making sure we don't give up easy baskets like that. Watts is one of those players that they just can't leave open. No personnel changes for the Maroon.
Excellent coaching matchup today. Head coach John Witherspoon for the School of the Sacred Heart, Stone Ridge. And now a dangerous pass, nearly intercepted from Watts, who was looking for a foul call, didn't get it.
The Stone Ridge offense is really struggling against this tenacious Episcopal defense.
Jay, you got the opportunity to interview head coach Katrina Reed. What did you get from her?
She really emphasized the teamwork on this team. She did highlight players like Genesis, like Nisha, like Cover, but she really wanted to emphasize how much the team comes together in order to prepare for games like these. In practice, I witnessed them practicing with immense intensity as if they were playing a game, and that really helps the starters, especially get in that mindset that they need to be into before they come on to the court on game day.
Dixon launched a long three, could not convert. It was Molly Diskovich on the other side, is deflected out of bounds. And the Maroon will retain possession.
Nisha Roy checks in for Cooper Dixon. Could be looking at a faster, more ranged look here on this possession offensively. Genesis with the ball, bringing it up.
Villegas takes it into two, lays it off to Kincaid Goodwin, sophomore, first year playing basketball, already seen her game grow exponentially. Now it is Watts who drives in, and a charge is called. Excellent play by Maddie Martinez on the defensive end. Naomi Reich will check in. Jay actually called last year's contest between these two teams. If the early latter stages of this game are indicative of what's to come, should be a good one today.
It always is between these teams and in every single conference matchup. You know, this conference never fails, and it's always a good watch. Games are always tight.
Looks to the corner. Martinez, Nisha Roy drives, takes the bump. Dangerous pass collected. And a turnover. Might have gotten away, or not gotten away, but shuffled the feet there. Onion. Stone Ridge now down 6 early. Just under 4 minutes left to play. Now deflected pass right into Naomi Reich. Kicks it to the corner. Lefty three launched is well short from Claire Jacobs. And Genesis trying to push.
Stone Ridge still trying to adapt here. Doesn't look like they've tried to slow down the tempo as much as they usually do.
Stone Ridge back to the man-to-man. Good one on the perimeter. Genesis pointing out directions. Pistol offense been stagnant this possession. Villegas hoisted, could not hit. And it is Saffer for Stone Ridge using the offhand. In transition, step through, and the lay-in is true. Karina Saffer cuts into the Episcopal lead.
One of the more underrated players on that Stone Ridge team. Not really seeing a lot of love on other broadcasts that I've watched, but you know, she's really begun to carve her way into this team and find a leadership role in that Stone Ridge offense.
Good defensive play as well as the deflection. Once again, Episcopal having trouble on the offensive end, creating possession, but as I say that, Martinez slices in. Kincaid Goodwin grabs the offensive rebound and tosses it out of bounds. Trying to get the deflection.
Defensive stumble there from Stone Ridge. Don't quite know what happened there. Must have messed up their zone or in some way. Unfortunately, the Episcopal unable to capitalize. Pulled a Simas Karaskas, a boys varsity basketball player there. Likes to bounce it off of the opponent into out of bounds area in order to get an inbound play opportunity. And I wonder if that was a success or not.
Episcopal had some issues in the half-court offense. Certainly will have to take advantage of those opportunities.
Miss Reed looks to be drawing up some sort of play, trying to get an opportunity for the Episcopal offense to score. It's tightened up in these last few minutes.
Episcopal also has tightened up the rotation. At the beginning part of the season, seeing 10, maybe even 11 players get in the game, but as of recent, it's been more like 7 or 8.
It has.
Full court press again from Episcopal. Broken easily. In the corner, it is Jacobs. Dixon, good defense there. Allison Hogue trying to set it up. Episcopal playing off the ball on the screen. Wide open look. Not able to convert there. And Genesis ripping away the rebound to a tie-up. Good hands defensively from Episcopal as well. What can Stone Ridge draw up off the inbound? Open look in the corner. That one is off target. Rebound is taken away. Anya Everett now to Genesis.
Those wide open shots are something that they have to convert if they want to bring this game even closer. You know, you don't get a lot of those against the Pittsburgh Maroon, and you really have to make them when you get them.
Off the screen is Martinez, driving into the lane, cannot get it to fall. Certainly a great look.
Another defensive shuffle for the Stone Ridge Gators. They probably need to make an adjustment there come halftime or the end of this period as a travel gets called on them as well. Just some sloppy mistakes made by the other team, the Stone Ridge Gators here, and I wonder if Episcopal can do a little bit more to capitalize on that.
Episcopal maintaining a 4-point lead. Both teams haven't scored in a couple minutes now.
Both teams looking to settle in on each other.
Horn set now for Episcopal. Off the set, Villegas. Push off. Falling away. Couldn't find it. And now a baseball pass taken away by Genesis. Read it perfectly. Bounce pass. Everett might have gotten it deflected, but foul is called on Ella Kaufman. And heading to the line will be Anya, senior co-captain.
Something that Miss Reed also stressed in practice yesterday was shooting, and they spent a significant period of time getting shots up and making sure that they can make it from all parts of the court. You know, people talk about the art of the lost mid-range. That's something that they've really worked on a lot because most teams don't tend to guard it as much anymore, and it's a very easily exploitable spot. And if they can get those shots off and if they can get them in the bucket, it's a lot easier to rack up points on the scoreboard.
As we've seen the game of basketball shift to a more analytical approach, certainly at the collegiate level, I've seen a lot of teams go away from mid-range jump shots as the free throw trickles off the rim. Full court press. Another three taken. This one barely glances off the side of the rim. Quick on rebound. Corner three hoisted and is not there, but ripped away and laid in. Molly Dishkovich, good work on the offensive glass.
For sure, and that's the rebounds that Episcopal has to get. That's usually where you'd see Cover as the three gets taken by Anisha. Threes for both teams seem to not be falling as of late. As a turnover leads to the Stone Ridge Gators bringing it back up the court.
Jacobs laying it off to Reich. Another turnover. Multiple by both teams thus far. Genesis attacks the 1-on-2. Other side of the rim. Couldn't find it. Now another cross-court pass. Jacobs from Hogue. Roy looking to deflect. 10 seconds. Pass rifled inside. Diskovich with the left hand. Great pass from Ella Kaufman. 3 seconds to fire. Does Roy realize it? Does not get it off in time. And we enter the second quarter with the score. The Episcopal High School Maroon 12. Stone Ridge School of the Sacred Heart 12 also.
It's been a pretty even matchup these past few minutes here, and something that's been really frustrating probably for the Episcopal team is the lack of being able to capitalize on the mistakes of the Stone Ridge defense and offense. They've turned the ball over multiple times. They've not made their shots, and it's going to be really frustrating for, you know, Miss Reed when she's trying to get points on the board and trying to have them pull away. It draws, you know, parallels and similarities to the Texans and Pittsburgh game as of late. The Pittsburgh Steelers were able to get multiple turnovers against that Texans offense, but the Texans defense just stopped them from going downfield, and it's something that's very frustrating and it seems all too familiar to the Episcopal team as of late.
Mike Tomlin stepping down from the Pittsburgh Steelers after a long run. Jay, as a Steelers fan, what do you think about that move?
Well, honestly, I have my own opinions about it, obviously, but he's a great coach. He won a Super Bowl for the team. You know, it's a great legacy. Pittsburgh's only had, 4 coaches in their tenure. You know, never a losing season, something that's always touted, 9-8, one of the special records for the team. But, I personally think that a coaching change is needed to be made, and hopefully we can see them succeed in the years to come. Hopefully not a full rebuild, but hopefully a successful change in coaching staff.
As the start of the second quarter commences, Jay, what are you looking to see from the Maroon?
I'm looking to see those shots start to fall again, Just looking to see, the ball get in the hands of Cover in the paint. Nisha take threes, and more coordination between the team as a whole, you know? It's really using those moments where it opens up like that. Cover takes it in, but can't make that shot. That's something that's really frustrating, and it's got to be weighing on this Episcopal offense.
Victoria Apia Jr. into the game for the first time as a taller Episcopal lineup is in. Nisha Roy with 10 seconds. Cover looks up, one-on-one, and is fouled by Jacobs.
Miss Reed seems to be telling Cover to look towards the key. I was surprised that there wasn't as many players trying to get in and quick cuts and get in the paint, even with this bigger lineup. I think the paint would be more of their advantage than the three-point line.
Cover Dixon off the inbounds. That one will roll in, and Episcopal takes the lead. Breaking the press of Episcopal, Josie Watts back into the corner. Reich drives in, flips one up, not close. Rebound from Goodwin.
Be interesting to see what kind of approach Episcopal takes here. Looks like they're not slowing down at all. Successful move for them. Looks to be on Stonebridge there. Foul on Stonebridge. It's going to be 2 shots for Anisha Roy. Hopefully she can make both of them here.
Good opportunity at the line. Excellent job by Episcopal getting to the free throw line when the shots aren't falling. Sometimes that's the best way to get instant offense.
Miss Reed did stress in the interview that I had with her that she really needed her players to make foul shots like those. You know, those are easy points you can't let escape from you. And, you know, all the way up to the professional level, it's something pretty frustrating to see if your team isn't able to make those easy shots.
That one is off the mark. And down the rebound of Souther in transition now. Layup glancing off the rim from Hogue. And now Episcopal Maroon with a chance to push. That pass is tossed away by Nisha.
Connection broken up there between the two. And a fight for the ball in the court. Cover Dixon getting down there and causing a jump ball. Miss Reed looking to call a defensive play here. Cannot let Watts get open.
Both teams have definitely had some turnover issues. Have to wonder what adjustments we need to correct that as Sather posting up. And yet another tie-up. This one will head back to the Maroon.
Another example of the Maroons' physical defense there. Let's see what kind of approach the Stonebridge Gators take as they look to a full court press, which is a little bit out of their style, but it tends to happen in these closer games.
You have to think for Stone Ridge, Josie Watts needs to get going a bit more on offense. Might be a bit too pass first as Nisha just slipped out of her hands, and then Watts couldn't corral the pass.
Uncharacteristic mistake there from Watts. You know, she's averaging double-digit points, upper double-digit points, you know, around the 19 mark, around the 20 mark, and you know, it's just uncharacteristic to see not as many threes falling, not as many twos falling, and she's been a real, you know, sedated threat from the Maroon here. And I wonder if she can get active maybe in this latter half of the second period or maybe even the second half. As travel there on Cover Dixon.
Stone Ridge, a defensive effort, certainly has been more intense. Charlotte Donato into the game for Stone Ridge. Hogue, Sather into the lane. Hop step and a foul going up as she will head to the free throw line with a chance to cut into the lead.
Both teams staying energized, staying warm. Both don't seem tired as of yet. Looks to be the start of a great matchup to come as it misses the first there. Some students are coming out to support the Maroon today.
The second attempt from Sather is in, and 15-13 the score with just over 6 minutes left to play in the second quarter as Episcopal breaks the press. Everett crossover. A little loose there as Dixon now into the lane, takes the contact, and the pass is tossed away. Stone Ridge now the chance to tie or take the lead, depending on shot selection.
Miss Reed desperately yelling at her players to get back. Quite frustrated, honestly, with this Episcopal defense, it seems.
Donato, long range three, was well off. And then a foul on the rebounding attempt. Will keep the ball for Stone Ridge.
Lucky break there for Stone Ridge. Those are mistakes that the Maroon cannot be making later into this game.
You have to think Episcopal is satisfied with the shot selection as Villegas. Athletic takeaway. Now working against Donato. Lane wide open, steps into the lane, takes it all the way for two. Easy basket for Genesis Villegas.
Trying to get this Episcopal offense back going again. Trying to steal some momentum as we wind down to about 5 minutes and 20 seconds left in the second period.
Hogue, Donato, back to Hogue. That shot is just off. And Villegas, a little too passive there underneath the basket. And Molly Dishkovich with the tie-up.
Didn't really have anywhere to go there. You know, it's kind of difficult to get out of that situation. She was kind of being double-teamed. Interesting moment. Kind of a lose-lose, but I thought the Episcopal would retake the ball. That was the second jump ball now for Stone Ridge.
Maybe so. Sometimes it's hard to keep track. Watts' three is off rim. Nisha now collects for Episcopal. Defensive effort from Episcopal has been good thus far. Half-court offense has been a challenge early. Have to think Villegas will continue to be aggressive. Martinez can't get anything going. Watts on Roy. Drive and kick. Everett takes the three. That one is there. And Hogue got the rebound and then tosses a pass. Jacobs, excellent passing. High off the glass and in for Molly Dishkovich. Ball never touches the floor. Excellent transition passing there.
This Episcopal offense really thrives off aggression, so we should see a lot of moves, a lot of cuts, and a lot of drives like that out to players as we airball three, unfortunately.
Martinez couldn't find it. Watts with a 2-on-1 and then is hesitant and travels. Maybe a little too pass first there.
Slight underrated story tonight. Kincaid Goodwin, sophomore. Really been putting in work on getting rebounds today. I've noticed quite a few. A lot of tough boards. Usually that's Cover Dixon's area of expertise, but I haven't really seen much from her tonight in the paint.
Well, against a taller team, you have to think that Kincaid make the most of her opportunity today. Rebounding margins have been pretty similar. Teams haven't been able to connect on the three-pointers. A lot of shots have fallen in the paint. You have to think that maybe Coach Reeves is drawing something up here to get the offense going.
Well, you have to start, trying to find some momentum in this moment before you go into the half, because if you go into the half down and dejected, you're going to be unable to really restart the offense, because, a lot of people talking about, it's a good break, you get time to rest and think during the halftime. But as an athlete, sometimes you're not able to really bring back the energy that you had during pregame warm-ups. And in order to go into half with momentum, it really helps a lot with your mentality and getting back in the zone before you step back on the court and start playing again. Coach Reed also thrives off of momentum, and she stressed in an interview that fast-paced, quick shots, great rebounds, and physical defense are the key parts of this Episcopal team, and a lack of momentum can kill that. Turnovers like that travel there do not bode well for stealing the momentum before halftime.
Nisha Roy couldn't hold the pivot foot down. Sather takes it up. I've seen that quite a bit. Now we'll just hoist a three. In and out. Not sure That was a shot for Stone Ridge. And a foul underneath.
Both teams staying relatively clean tonight with 5 total fouls throughout both the first and second periods.
I think the storyline of this game so far is definitely the three-point shooting or lack thereof. Both teams have been struggling beyond the arc. Dixon knifing in. Martinez the kick. And finally one drops. Big three for the Maroon from Manny Martinez.
That's one of those momentum starters that the Episcopal really needed, but that could kill it right there. That was a defensive blunder by the Maroon, leaving that open space for the Stone Ridge to come in there and get a quick pass and score.
Hogue using the speed to slash in, and Diskovich the easy two. Genesis calling out a play. Martinez step back, passes it up. Dixon off the and is fouled. Starting to look like a clean play from here, but
that is true. For my knowledge, that looked to be all ball for me.
Dixon will head to the line. The chance for three.
Personnel changes for both the Maroon and Stone Ridge. Kincaid coming out.
Jay, what do you want to see to get the offense going for Episcopal?
Well, honestly, I think the Maroon has really, not used their size to their advantage here, and I really like to see more play in the paint, more quick cuts, quick passing. We've really been stagnant, and kind of the opposite of what Miss Reed described yesterday in her interview. She really wanted, the fast pace, the quick passes, the quick cuts, the quick movement that gets the Stone Ridge defense turned around. And we've seen that a couple times, but they haven't been able to capitalize on those opportunities, and it's been really frustrating.
Dixon misses all three, and quickly at the other end, pass was deflected out of bounds. Game has been close the entire way. The Maroon have not been able to pull away, and Stone Ridge can't seem to capitalize on their opportunities, as evidenced by a bad pass from Naomi Reich, and Hogue couldn't corral it.
Two really good teams going at it here. 3-point difference with 2 minutes and 45 seconds left in the half. Nisha looking for something.
Good defense from Stone Ridge. Apia, nowhere to go with it. It is Villegas. 10 seconds. Working one-on-one. Into the lane. No call. Through on the shot clock. Dixon has to hurry. Floater up high. Off rim, and a late whistle for a shot clock violation.
That will be a shot clock violation. It did not hit the rim. Came close though, but what a save from Genesis right there. That's the type of tenacity that Coach Reed was talking about in her interview yesterday, and something that I saw on display in practice. Hopefully we can see a little bit more of that.
Dixon draws the assignment of Josie Watts. Sather, no one on her on the perimeter. Zone from Episcopal into the paint. Kick out now in the post. Diskovich with the left hand, and the hook shot is pure.
That's an example of the return back to the play-oriented, slow-tempoed offense there for Stone Ridge. That's something that we thought we'd see a lot more of this game as the Episcopal tries to bring it back.
Nisha trying to drive into the lane. Anya all the way around. Takes the contact. Flailing, and will head to the foul line.
These are some must-make shots here going into the half. It's now a 1-point game. Was a 6-point game not too long ago, and they need to open up that gap so they can get a little bit of a buffer in case they have any problems coming out of the half maybe a little bit cold.
Have to think Episcopal needs these to go down to draw a little bit of momentum that they had in the early part of the first quarter. Ainsley Court is dead silent. You hear a pin drop. Everett is there on 1 of 2, and it is Allison Hogue, the speedy point guard, who faces the full court press from the Maroon. Now pass over the top. Watts, Jacobs, Diskowicz in the post with the right hand this time, and Molly Diskowicz doing a lot of good work on the interior for the Maroon thus far. For Stone Ridge thus far.
This scoring pattern looks all too familiar from the first quarter. Looking tied up at the final minute. Genesis driving in with the shot. No good off the back iron. Stone Ridge bringing it back up here.
Stone Ridge bench is loud. Certainly have the momentum. Sather, no one even close. That one will fall. And all of a sudden, Stone Ridge with a 24-21 lead.
Unacceptable points there from the Maroon. Rare moment.
Wide open on the free throw line, and that one will roll in. Big time shot and needed for the Maroon.
Really going blow for blow here. Trying to get momentum into the half as we wind down with 20 seconds left.
Both offenses heating up. Stone Ridge can hold the final shot if needed. Sather driving in. Diskowicz off the rebound. Is off the mark. Genesis now. 7 seconds. Ball is loose. Push from behind. Staff wants a foul. Everett launches one. 1 second. Watts couldn't find it. And that heave will hit the door in the entrance of the gym as we head into half. The Episcopal High School Maroon behind by 1 point against Stone Ridge, 24-23.
Conference matchup between the Maroon and the Gators. It's real close right now, 1 point difference. The Gators are up 23-24.
You know, Jay, you have to imagine that the fiery halftime speech from head coach Katrina Reed. As we saw Episcopal lose a little bit of momentum they had gained in the first quarter. Maybe they're starting a little bit tired, but it's an important matchup, starting conference play, and had to think Episcopal needs the win here.
That's true. Episcopal sitting at a 500 record right now, 4-4. 1-0 in conference play though. Looking to make a difference.
Starting up the second half against the zone from Stone Ridge, Cover kicks it. Martinez in the corner is short. The rebound is collected by Watts, and Stone Ridge now the chance to extend their lead, but pass is dangerous. Deflected off the knee of Anya.
Some new life for the Stone Ridge defense there. Something we haven't really seen this entire game.
Diskowicz passing it up. Sather with the height advantage on the inside. Shot is well off. Villegas to push. Turnover back to Watts and Stone Ridge.
Let's see what Watts can do.
Nice through the defense. And a blocking foul is called as Anya was in the restricted area. Good take there from Josie Watts, the star player for Stone Ridge.
Hopefully she can get more active in this quarter and this half. She was pretty cold, honestly, in this first half, and that really hurt the team. You know, fortunately they were able to claw back in the closing stages, but initially they were struggling.
Definitely a quiet half for her standards, as the first free throw was off target.
Some confusion here on the substitution for the Maroon. Genesis coming off the court.
A bit odd. 3-on-2 in the free throw. Didn't end up mattering, but definitely could have been an offensive rebound there from Stone Ridge. As Stone Ridge takes a 2-point lead. Episcopal needing a basket here. Nisha Roy facing the 1-2-2. Everett trying to back down Sather. Couldn't hold the pass. Good one on the inline. Out of bounds. It will stay with the Maroon.
Some sloppy offense here from the Maroon. You know, they're having difficulty passing the ball and getting it around.
Quick inbounds. Everett tried to split the double. Foul is called that Stone Ridge coaching staff does not agree with.
You know, as a coach, you have to fight for your players and you have to, you know, try and get an edge for your team, and I respect what he's doing, but you know, recently I've seen him encroach on the court a little bit. Got to make sure that he doesn't, you know, possibly interfere with one of the players. That's been a problem on every single sport that I see. I've seen football coaches do it. I've seen basketball coaches do it. Heck, I've even seen, you know, volleyball coaches do it. You know, you just got to be aware of yourself when you're fighting for your team. As Cover takes a three, no good, unfortunately. Stone Ridge with the rebound, looking to bring it up. Reminder, there's no 10-second limit for getting across the court. Stone Ridge brings it down to the paint, and a turnover. Kincaid Goodwin fighting for the ball there.
Certainly were some questionable calls in the last affair last year. Head coach John Witherspoon for Stone Ridge is nearly ejected. Maybe some bad memories caused the inconsistent start for Stone Ridge. They turned it around quickly. Goodwin pass to Dixon deflected, and she shuffled her feet trying to make the pass to a cutting Everett. And yet another turnover for the Maroon offense.
Coach Reed now making her way onto the court.
Calling on a play is Allison Hogue. Backdoor feed. Watts. Easy deuce. A bit lackadaisical on defense there from Episcopal.
That's got to have been something that we've seen on film. From the little bit that I've watched, that's a signature play that I really like to go to, using Watts' size and her physicality and her speed to get through the defense and take advantage of some perhaps unaware players down below. And they did just that there, making their lead 4 instead of 2.
Villegas cut into the zone. and Everett was fouled going up. So she will head to the line.
These are some must-make baskets here.
Head coach Katrina Reed for Episcopal a little bit frustrated with the defense in the early goings of the second half as the first free throw is knocked down.
Coach Reed taking the opportunity of the free throw to coach up her players a bit without taking a timeout, which is crucial in the second half. Might need those timeouts for later to draw plays in a close one like this.
Been a really close game the entire way as Stone Ridge with a 3-point lead. Hogue, drive and kick, set a three. Not there and tapped out of bounds by Josie Watts. And Victoria Apia checking in for Episcopal.
Genesis Villegas looks slightly frustrated at the recent events. 3-point deficit for the Maroon here. Nisha looking to make something happen. Passes it back to Genesis. Shot up. No good, unfortunately. Gonna stay Maroon ball. Tipped.
Have certainly seen the zone have some impacts as the Episcopal's had some trouble. Got it into the middle of the zone there, but Everett couldn't find it, and that shot is deflected and out of bounds.
And you got to think now, as opposing coaches looking on at this film from the Episcopal Maroon, they're going to look in games in the future to probably stick to this zone, as this type of defense has really been putting straps on the Maroon offense.
Watts 2-on-1, steps to the left hand and lays it in with the speed. And all of a sudden, Stone Ridge now stretching out the lead. It's a dangerous pass. It's collected by Pia and then tossed away to Hogue. Sather up the front. Pass is off the mark, and Isabel Sad couldn't track it down.
Quite sloppy ball movement from both teams there. And Maroon really lucked out there that they didn't get two more points back on that. They're going to look to cut down this lead by at least 2 on this possession here. It's vital for them staying in this game, both mentally and actually.
Stone Ridge is looking for a trap. A lot of corner threes being taken by the Maroon. Martinez couldn't find it. Villegas tried to step into it and then had to head fake as the defense came flying. Roy trying to cut into the middle of the zone. And some trouble here on offense as the Stone Ridge zone has worked wonders against the Maroon. And yet another turnover this time by Nisha Roy.
Looks like the Stone Ridge coach has really found his niche and what kind of defense he wants to be running, and it's working really well. Coach Reed is probably going to look to find some sort of solution to the offensive problem here. You know, for what I'm looking at here, we've got a lot of, rainbow passes, some might say. Once they go up and they come down, Hail Marys, kind of arch like you see in football, and that's something you can't really have in a taller defense like Stone Ridge has. And they're really taking advantage of that by tipping the ball, bringing it back down, getting easy points, and taking the fight out of the Maroon. So if I'm Miss Reed right now, I'm telling them to bullet passes, get the ball quickly, and don't let the Stone Ridge big players get the ball, tip it, and have that advantage coming down the court where they could get easy points.
Definitely in the interior may need to see some bounce passes. Certainly an aspect that during practice we saw them work on.
Some more variety when passing this would be good. As Stone Ridge will get the ball here.
Allison Hogue, suddenly seen her throw some good passes. Watts into the front. Behind the back dribble. Fakes the pass, now takes it all the way for the fall-away deuce.
Watts is getting hot here. That's something the Episcopal really need to clamp down on. It's crucial to staying in the game. Also, another adjustment made by the Stoners there, exploiting that mid-range that the Episcopal sometimes has a tough time guarding. It's worked wonders for them so far. They're probably going to keep trying to do it throughout the rest of the half.
Largest lead of the day from Stone Ridge as turnovers continue to be a problem for the Maroon. Kaufman trying to find Jacobs. Taken back by Hogue. A wide open Kaufman will lay it in off the glass. And Episcopal surging for answers now in the third. Villegas cuts in. Floater off back iron. Hogue against two defenders, losing it out of bounds, and a much needed turnover forced there by Genesis and Nisha.
And this game is kind of starting to slip away from the Maroon here. They haven't had a momentum play in a while. They haven't had a basket in a while. And it's really starting to take its toll on the Maroon offense and defense. Players are getting not as energized. They're not able to make it up and down the court as fast. And it's really showing right now as I think it's a foul on Stone Ridge there. Cover Dixon will go to the line. These are some must-make baskets if they want to stay in this game.
Episcopal needs some points in the worst way. Dixon with a chance to cut into the deficit. Let me tell you what, you can hear a pin drop right now.
The Episcopal gym is really trying to give an opportunity to one of their leading scorers to take advantage of their skill here on the free throw line. You know, something that I interviewed one of the players on the team who wished not to be named. They really talked and stressed about how tight and close-knit this team was. And, you know, coming into the second half, I think the team as a whole is really going to play a big role in keeping the mentality high and the morale up going into a difficult time like this. You know, looking for the bench to make, you know, be cheering, you know, keeping them, you know, happy and content in this moment when times are tough. If they get a turnover, you're good, stuff like that, to just make sure that the team stays energized. And steals like those awarded with cheers from the Maroon bench there. A much needed steal. Unfortunately, another steal by Stone Ridge there. Bad pass by Genesis.
Haven't seen the Episcopal full court press work as effectively in the second as it did in the first, as a couple more turnovers. Could have been a kick ball on the Episcopal offensive end, but a foul called on Genesis as Charlotte Donato will head to the line for a pair.
Definitely some adjustments made in the positive direction for Stone Ridge. The Gators have really grasped hold of this game here. And it's going to be really difficult for the Maroon to claw back if they continue to have these problems with momentum and scoring.
Naomi Reich into the game for Ellison Hogue. Donato's attempt is in and out as Dixon couldn't get the rebound. Kaufman's floater was well off. And now it's Goodwin who walks with the basketball in the backcourt. And it'll go back to Stone Ridge.
Lots of frustration on Goodwin's face there.
Certainly can't be giving away possessions right now for the Maroon as they face an 8-point deficit. And Stone Ridge holding all the momentum. Diskovich tried to get inside, pass was deflected. Watts, step back three. Couldn't find it. And now Dixon looking to push.
Cover struggling to keep the ball there. Looked like she tried to do that Simos Karasgas move there on the Stone Ridge player. Unfortunately, did not work out. Ended up bouncing through her legs back towards the court and ended up being a turnover.
Stone Ridge bench getting louder and louder. Donato. Diskovich calling for it, and instead a foul on the floor, I believe. No, a foul on the shot attempts. A bit of the NBA style continuation there.
Coach Reed very frustrated right now with this Episcopal defense. Although she continues to show her appreciation for their effort. As slight personnel change, Nisha Roy comes in for Kincaid Goodwin.
On the other side, it's Karina Saffer for Stone Ridge. Starters back into the game for the Maroon. Reich knocks them both down. And Nisha Roy, an excellent facilitator for this team. Can she conjure up some offense here? Extending the offhand, looking, and then throws a pass. It's too low for Anya to corral. Watts rejects the screen. Open look, Donato passes it up. Reich, Saffer in the low post. steps through, and a wild attempt will draw a couple free throws as the Episcopal defense continues to struggle.
Looks like the Episcopal offense can't really seem to find the sweet spot for their passing. Initially it was a little bit too high, getting picked off, and now it's a little bit too low, and it's bouncing off their feet, off their hands, and it's not making that connection that they need. Really stagnating their offense. It's now a 10-point deficit for the Maroon.
Offense certainly has not been hitting on all cylinders as we've seen previously. First of 3 home games in this stretch, as you have to imagine Episcopal wants to continue their strong start to conference play.
They will face Holy Child at 6 p.m. on Thursday. You can also find that on the EHS Live.
Jay, you're on the call for that one?
I will be on the call, be doing the play-by-play with Grace McGinty as my analyst. Will be an exciting matchup as the deficit now moves to 12. Stone Ridge taking advantage of both foul shots there.
Genesis subbing out, so you have to continue to wonder where will the offense come from if you're Episcopal. Dixon cutting into the lane and a foul on the floor.
If I'm Episcopal right now, I think that we don't really need to be taking that many risky shots from the three-point line. I'd probably put in a little bit more of a bigger personnel and try to get, points in the paint, easy twos, but you're going to need connections that don't fall short like that one. It kind of reset the offense there and didn't provide a good look as Stone Ridge defense takes advantage of that.
Sether, Donato pushed from behind by Martinez as turnovers continue to mount, and the deficit continues to mount for the Maroon as it looks like a completely different game in the second half. Stone Ridge really taking it to the Maroon right now.
Certainly also a less clean game in the second half, almost totaling the amount of fouls we had in the first half by simply the end of the third period. About 1 minute and 45 left, and Coach Reed is discussing options with Genesis and her assistant coaches. Mr. Slack. Genesis is going to be checking in, probably with a new game plan.
Donato's free throw rims out, and simply a hustle play. Allison Hogue deflecting it to Josie Watts for the easy 2.
Extending their lead to 14 now. Let's see what Maroon can do on the offensive side of the ball.
That is not the kind of effort that head coach Katrina is really looking for as Watts tried to step in front of the pass. And we reached the bonus, so Kincaid, the sophomore, will head to the line. First free throws down. Jay, what does Episcopal need to do to get back into this game?
Well, they really need to make these foul shots. Getting into the bonus is a blessing for them because, in moments like these where they're down by, some could say, a significant portion, the easy shots like these are really, really important into getting back in the game. And they've shot flat 50. I mean, every single time we get to the line, it's a 1 for 2, 1 for 2, 1 for 2. And it's been really interesting to see. I saw them taking a lot of foul shots earlier in practice yesterday, but it just doesn't seem to have converted today, unfortunately. But, something they also need to do is they need to get those quick twos, and they need to have quick possessions. They cannot be using the whole shot clock here, even though they're still in the third quarter. The fourth quarter is going to fly by really quick if they keep using possessions like these.
Josie Watts, mid-range 2, rimmed out for Stone Ridge. Now there's 10 seconds of shot clock for the Maroon to work with. Trying to get something going. Villegas comes off a down screen, stepping back, stepping through. That one is off. And a delayed shot clock violation again as head coach for Stone Ridge, not a fan of that call.
There's just not much that this Episcopal offense seems to be able to do against this Stone Ridge defense. They've really put the lockdown on Genesis and Nisha as of late, and Cover also been unable to really connect in the paint. Could be a symptom of, fatigue from the Maroon or lack of communication and good passing, but I also really think it's an impact of the Stone Ridge team's, rallying during the halftime where their coach could be heard giving a fiery speech in the gym.
Sather, open look. It is Isabel Saad whose three is off. Watts gets it into the corner, falling down, and no call. Dixon now. Episcopal needs to push, but it is taken away by Allison Hogue, who had a wide open look underneath the rim, needed to look up. Instead, it is Saad again. And the three is banked in. The bank is open late, and everything is falling now for Stone Ridge. Three seconds to go. Everett open mid-range jump shot is off, and that shot encapsulates the third quarter for the Maroon as Stone Ridge completely dominates from wire to wire in that third period. Now a 16-point deficit the Maroon face. Now it's that time for fan of the game. Jay, take it away.
Well, one of the more loyal fans we have today is Ben Ironi. You know, he's been out at every single home game for the girls varsity basketball team, and he's been really out here supporting all the guys. You know, I've seen him up there cheering, really, you know, making a difference for them. And, you know, for a team that, you know, gets a loud student section, it always makes a difference. You know, and that home field advantage is really special. And, you know, with him out there, it really just seems like a different environment every single time I see him. And I'm glad that he's out there and he's in the stands.
Excellent football player in his own right, Ben Ironi, hailing from Canada. 16-point deficit again, bears repeating, the Episcopal now facing. It was only a 1-point lead for Stone Ridge coming out of the break. Episcopal needing to claw back into the game. Jay, to wrap up the third quarter, what does Stone Ridge do to really pull away in that?
Well, you know, as much as we talk about their offensive threats here, they've been a real defensive demon. You know, they've been able to bat down the ball. They've been able to get those steals and those turnovers, which have, you know, they weren't really able to find in the first half, and that really stopped the Episcopal offense from being able to get those balls in the basket and being able to put points on the board. And, you know, with their offense also starting to connect even more, it became even harder for the Maroon to stay in it. And that's beginning to take a toll on the Maroon mentally, but also physically as the game winds on.
Zone look and a half-court trap from Stone Ridge. Villegas, three, off the glass and in. Big-time shot from Genesis, desperately needed it. And now a violation on the end line. Claire Jacobs had not established herself from Stone Ridge. And Episcopal with an excellent chance to cut into the deficit and get some early points.
And it's that easy for the momentum to shift. Let's see what the Maroon can do here with this opportunity.
Dixon tossing it off of Stone Ridge. Naomi Reich and head coach John Witherspoon for Stone Ridge. 1 to 5 second violation, did not get it, as we see Avery Gibson checking in for Stone Ridge along with star player Josie Watts.
Really buying more time there. Don't want to surrender this momentum early. Hard to come by in this game, and unfortunately, that steal is going to take it from him. Stone Ridge drives it back down, looks to slow it down and draw up more of a design play here.
Another Episcopal turnover, as that is definitely a carry. Bit of a miscommunication there for Stone Ridge.
Definite lack of communication there, and something that Episcopal definitely needs to capitalize on. This possession. It needs to be quick, it needs to be active, and it needs to come away with points.
Episcopal needs to get the ball into the middle of the zone. Villegas, Everett going up, and it's a held ball. Good hands from Corinna Sather for Stone Ridge. Good pressure defense from Episcopal, but it is broken. Watts will take it against Martinez. Back to the corner. Sather, open lane. And Watts will shuffle the feet there as she was heading to the lane. Timeout from Stone Ridge as they hold a 13-point lead. 7 minutes left to go in the fourth.
You know, if we were to take a step into the minds of both coaches here, you're really going to see that the Stone Ridge coach is probably going to be prioritizing chewing clock and taking time during the possessions. You know, a lot of ball movement outside the 3, trying to make sure that they can use up the full 30-second shot clock to try and, take as much time off the board as possible, not leaving any room for this intense Maroon team to come back. And then you also have Miss Reed, who's going to really prioritize quick possessions, quick passes, quick shots. You know, even if all of them don't go in, if a significant portion of them will get in, they'll be able to claw back and possibly get an opportunity at the end of this game to come back and win. And she's been really conservative with her timeout use here, so that's something that you could see in the final minutes, where she uses her timeouts in a very strategic pattern in a close game, which could be a big advantage for the Maroon.
Stone Ridge back into the zone. Nisha trying to find her way is cut off. Villegas, Martinez on the wing. Can't find it. Now into the zone and losing the ball. Hogg, what a tip. Watts drives into the lane, it trickles off the rim. But good hustle on the offensive glass there. Certainly see the prowess from Josie Watts as a push from Kincaid Goodwin. Head coach Witherspoon from Stone Ridge not happy.
Another design play to Watts here. That would usually open up for a 3, and it does.
Screen, it is well off. Not the shot you think Stone Ridge is looking for in that possession, but Episcopal once again, can their offense get going?
Well, we'll have to see here. You know, they've had a lot of opportunities as of late, but none of them have really come up with anything. A mere 5 points, 6 points since the start of the second half. Very unfortunate for the Maroon as Genesis looks to make something happen here. Step back, blocked. And that's their 1.5 average blocks per game. That's where it comes in there at a crucial moment to stop this momentum for the Episcopal team.
You know, Jay, I think as you've been alluding to, as Saffer takes it all the way for 2, Episcopal cannot pass up open shots. Genesis had a wide open look. She passed it up, and the step in 2 was blocked. They need to take shots early in the possession like that as Martinez is off. And the deflection will stay to Stone Ridge. They need to take shots early in the possession and find points that way. Head to the free throw line. They shouldn't be passing up open looks.
No open look should go, unpassed to at this moment. They're struggling to find any opportunity to get the ball off cleanly, and it's something that's really hurting them right now, as they're kind of moving into desperation mode as we go with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter.
Watts off the screen, reverse layup. Sits on the rim and drops. The lead is 17 for Stone Ridge, and Episcopal needs some instant offense here. Instead, deflected pass.
Unfortunate moment there for the Maroon. Just another uncharacteristic mistake. Something that we've seen too much. They're using a lot of this clock here. Hopefully they can get a shot off and get some points.
Certainly some stagnancy from the Maroon offense in the second half as open looks has been tough to generate. Goodwin, Martinez needs to hurry. Nisha Roy, 3 seconds. Pass to the wing. Villegas sees it, step back. Long 2. Off rim. Saffer and Goodwin battling for the rebound. Kincaid Goodwin wins it. Extra possession for the Maroon. Roy cuts in. Nice feed. Dixon couldn't finish. And another missed opportunity on offense.
Another near shot clock violation there from the Maroon. It's another example of how locked down the Stone Ridge defense has been. The Stone Ridge defense, or Stone Ridge offense, has had no shot clock violations this whole game. Meanwhile, the Maroon has had 3. It's a real, key part of the story here on how the Maroon, and explaining how the Maroon cannot get shots up and get them in.
Certainly seen a crispness to the Stone Ridge offense you haven't seen from the Maroon. Dixon open look. Shots just have not been falling in the second half for many of the Maroon players. As a step in 3 taken, Jacobs off back iron, good interior pass. Watts, Diskowich couldn't convert on the first opportunity, diving on the floor. And a quick timeout, smart timeout taken as head coach John Witherspoon will retain possession for Stone Ridge.
Definitely seeing a lot of the Maroon players looking quite gassed at the moment. You know, they definitely seem to be making some mistakes that come from fatigue. And I wonder if this timeout here is going to give them an opportunity to re-energize and find their way in this game. You know, I believe the Stone Ridge coach, he's doing a great job here on the defensive side of the ball in the second half. I think he's realized that in the closing stages of this game that he really needs to protect that paint. And he's giving a lot of open opportunities at the 3 spot, and he recognizes that the Episcopal offense can't really get their rhythm in when it comes for 3. So he's really focused in on that paint and the inside of the 3-point line, and it's been really effective. And I think that's why we've been unable to get so many points on the board.
Stone Ridge certainly has been packing the paint defensively, as Episcopal has struggled to stay in front of their defender on the defensive side. Points have been at a premium for the Episcopal offense. Stone Ridge hasn't struggled in the second half to the extent that we saw them in the first. Episcopal's defense was definitely stopping the Stone Ridge offense in that first half, but halftime adjustments certainly made by head coach John Witherspoon for Stone Ridge, as Nancy Chung checking into the game for the Maroon.
Stone Ridge is giving some of their starters a little bit of a rest here.
Under 4 minutes left to play, 17-point lead. That shot is an air ball from Ella Kaufman. It is Anya Everett and Episcopal. What can they do on this side of the ball? Iron has not been kind.
Way too much time used on this possession here, and that leads to a steal. Just another possession that they come away with no points. This has been really frustrating.
Allison Hogue displaying her quickness on the other side. It is Diskowicz who couldn't find it, and then Watts takes a tumble as Villegas takes it away. In transition, Everett couldn't find it, and now Dixon with extra opportunity. Shot to the free throw line.
Interesting move there by the Stone Ridge team. You know, I would really expect them to maybe slow the game down a little bit more, use a little bit more of their shot clock, but it seems like they have a faster tempo than Maroon right now, and I find that quite surprising. It's almost like the strategies are kind of flipped, which is really interesting to see, as Cover unfortunately misses her first. Another one of those free throw moments that the Episcopal are all too familiar with this season, unfortunately.
Dixon's second try will rattle in, and it is
Maggie Harton checking in for Cover Dixon.
just over 3 minutes left to play in this contest as Donato Jacobs into the corner. High arcing shot won't go. Now Genesis Villegas. Good defense there from Allison Hogue. Everett takes it all the way for 2. One of the cleaner looks the Maroon have seen in this second half. Watts slows it down. It is Allison Hogue. Been a great facilitator, as we see there. Another backdoor feed and find. Josie Watts adding to her point total in the second half. Villegas maybe forcing a basket there. Everett had an open look. Now attacks the zone and is fouled.
Definitely picked up the pace as of late. Maybe those fresh legs really helped, galvanize this offense into moving quicker. With 2 minutes and 30 seconds left, we'll see what the Maroon can do.
I'd like to give a shout out to all team members involved, the production of this contest, Director Savannah, Graphic Arthur Segura on the cameras, Thomas Sigler stepping in as a surprise, Harrison Callan, James Dorian, and Tabor Hampton. Back to the action, foul underneath as Corinna Sather will find herself at the free throw line once more. Stone Ridge certainly getting into the interior of the Maroon defense of late. And Jay, transition defense has been a bit of a problem today. We saw head coach Katrina really preaching about that in practice yesterday. I have to imagine they'll continue to work on that in
Definitely.
this 3-game home stretch.
Definitely they will. It'll definitely be a problem tomorrow or the day after if they don't get their act together tomorrow in practice. And I saw them working on it a lot yesterday. It looked like some good progress was made, but I did see some confusion initially, and that could be what we're seeing right now. It also could be fatigue. It could be a lot of things, and hopefully this team will be able to make the necessary adjustments tomorrow during practice before their game on Thursday.
So a good hustle play from Corinna Zaffer on the offensive rebound, as a bit more players are going to check in for the Maroon. Backcourt violation is called. And as the game begins to wind down, Jay, what does Episcopal need to work on to get the W in the next game?
They definitely need to work on their communication and their passing. The stuff that I'm seeing right now is probably more fatigue than anything on defense. And, initially their defense was working really well. Their offense was connecting. But it looks like in the second half, they need to work on their passing, their transition defense, and, overall their communication with one another, with probably a little bit more conditioning in there. I have seen the team get more tired as the game goes on than Stone Ridge, and that's, conditioning is something that you really have to take advantage of. And if your team is not conditioned, it's going to be really hard to stick in with these longer, more physical games, which tend to last for about 2 hours, 2 to 3 hours of going up and down the court, which is very taxing on the body and the mind.
Josie Watts checking out for Stone Ridge after a quiet first half, had an excellent second, was constant motion in offense, and certainly leading scorer of the game. As the three is launched from the corner by Isabel Saad, and that one is off and will trickle out of bounds.
So the clock begins to wind down now. The game has really, really begun to set in. More fresh legs for the Maroon here, as they will get the ball and try and rally up some final points here. To really close in the gap. Definitely put up more of a fight in these final few minutes.
Maggie taking a three. That one's off front iron and will bounce over the side of the backboard. Back to Stone Ridge as Morgan Huber checking in for Stone Ridge for the first time. Certainly seemed like it was almost two different games being played in one, as the second half looked completely different. Saw a completely different Stone Ridge team. Full court pass from Kaufman, collected by Saad. Couldn't find Corinna Saffer, and now Genesis with the easiest points of the day for the Maroon.
Definitely drawing parallels to the Texans-Steelers game. It's kind of opened up in the second half, and something necessarily didn't want to see today, but it's going to come away with a lot of lessons for the Maroon, a lot of adjustments that can be made, and will overall make them a better team come the future. And that's something that Miss Reed also talked about in her interview. She really stressed that, even if the Maroon were to lose, it provides a teaching moment and allows them to get better as a team come the next games and the season beyond.
Certainly some good opportunities for the Maroon in this upcoming stretch of home conference games. Villegas trying to find something on offense. Martinez steps into a three. That one couldn't find it. Three-pointers just not falling today for the Maroon, but continued hustle is good to see.
That is good. You never want a team that gives up, Final few minutes of the game, even if it's not going your way, the Maroon will never stop. They never give up, because, when you surrender as a sports team, it's just bad for morale. It's bad for continuing. If you ever give up on the court or on the field, it's bad for your mentality going into other games. And you never know what kind of moments can be had and what kind of comebacks can be made. So it's always good to remember that you're always still in the fight. And if you keep confusion there from Miss Reed, referees.
Well, I believe it was a foul on Stone Ridge, and then the ball was given to Stone Ridge. Bit of a miscommunication there. 15 seconds to go. Clock beginning to tick down. Villegas driving in, and a held ball It was that type of day on offense of the Maroon, especially in the second half. Stone Ridge defense really had their way with the Maroon. Couldn't get anything to fall beyond the arc.
See if the Maroon can get one final shot off.
Maggie long three, not there, and the clock will wind down as the Stone Ridge School defeat the Maroon on their home court with a final score of 50-34. Derek Spears, Jay Sigler, all the EHS Live crew signing off from Ainsley Court.